Hello, peers in 521 assessments. I am in the middle of my 512 group counseling week, so I have been on video all week and therefore this setup. But I chose to reread the ACA Code of Ethics, and it was really a neat exercise because I remember reading it for 500 and signing off that I did, and then using it for ethics class. But the assessments portion was just something I didn't have any perspective to put to it, and so it was a neat exercise to come back to this now, having learned instruments and psychometrics and just how to evaluate. The parts that stuck out to me the most are client welfare, E1B, where it talks about you don't misuse the assessment results and the interpretations, and take reasonable steps to prevent others from misusing the information provided. And that, I can see that in couples counseling, and I know of instances where a spouse was like wanting to know the results and how long the results would take. And so this had a whole new gravity reading it, thinking of it in that type of situation. Also, the appropriate use, E2B, when it has to be relevant to the needs of the client, whether they score and interpret. So whether I score and interpret the assessment or not, I have to be sure that it's relevant to the client. And so just that responsibility of not just using an assessment because a lot of other peers may be using it, and thinking, oh, it's so popular, it's not a big deal, but to really understand what it is testing, and why it is effective or beneficial for my client to go through that process. I underline psychometrics just because I have to slow down and really search for that information and take time to process it, but I see that there's no getting around knowing how to use that, and that was in E2C. And then the recipients of results, the counselors consider the client's welfare, explicit understandings. Counselors include accurate and appropriate determinations with any release of individual or group assessment results. That kind of went back to what I was feeling when I was reading client welfare, number one. And then the final point that struck me is because when I was looking for different assessments, a few of them were like, you would have to use caution using this with minority populations. And that never occurred to me until I saw that in a peer-reviewed journal. And so when I was rereading this Code of Ethics and got to E8, multicultural issues, counselors select and use with caution assessment techniques normed on populations other than that of the client. And it reminded me of the EMIC, just perspective of putting myself into the place of the client's culture and not making assumptions or treating the client and testing and assessing the client based on my culture and trying to push that on them. So I really appreciate this exercise and look forward to jumping on tomorrow when this intensive is done and interacting with you all on the things that surprised you and stood out in this discussion board. Thanks so much.